Howdy folks, welcome back to my channel. I got kind of a fun video for you today. Now recently I've done a couple of videos, like I did one about 10 pieces of gear that I regret selling, or before that I did one about, I think it was 10 of my favorite homemade instruments, or those list kind of videos, I guess I'll call them, where people talk about their favorites or whatever. Well, that's the kind of video I'm going to do today, and I made a playlist of those kind of videos. It is linked in the description if you're curious, but that way they're all in one spot. But today what I'm going to talk about is my 5 favorite stress relief instruments. Now you might be saying, hey, any instrument is a stress relief, and that is true. And to be honest, there are times when I'm just in the zone, I might pick up an acoustic guitar and just do some finger picking on a couple chords, and it just really relaxes me and puts me in the zone. That's true. But a guitar can also be an incredibly stressful instrument because there's a lot of notes and a lot of different chord shapes. That means there's a lot of wrong notes and whatnot. So today I'm going to talk about what I personally think are like the stress relief instruments that always kind of relax me when I play them. And let's get right into it. So first up is my Pentatonic Lyre here. And this is a 7-string lyre. This was a kit that I built. I made a video about that a while back. And it's tuned in a pentatonic scale. And the wonderful thing about the pentatonic scale is, depending on where you start, it could be a minor pentatonic or a major pentatonic. Again, with 7 strings, you can play either one. And that is one of the reasons I think I like it so much, is there aren't any wrong notes. And so it seems like that you can just play anything. You can just kind of... You can strum the whole thing. You can play 2 strings at a time. That one's a little bit out of tune, but it just always sounds good. And it's hard to be stressed out when you play an instrument like this. It's just really kind of a fun little thing to play, and it always kind of puts me in that relaxed zone. So, Pentatonic Lyre. Okay, and this one is one of my favorites, the steel tongue drum. Now, let me say specifically, this is a pentatonic, or a 5-toned steel tongue drum. This one is tuned in D pygmy. And that's specifically what I'm talking about, because those, I think, really put you into a zone, because with only 5 tones on the drum, and when it's tuned to a scale like that, it's really hard to hit a wrong note. And there are some steel tongue drums out there that are tuned in like a major scale, or probably even chromatic ones out there. And yeah, those can still be very relaxing and very entrancing to play. But something like this, where it's tuned, where it's made to be all the tongues played together, really just, it really just shines for me, because you can just play anything. You can just... And it's just always going to sound good, because it's always in tune with itself. There's no real thought process to it. And it really lends itself well to just kind of put it on your lap and just... It just really, that's something about that tone and that, that hollow sound that just really is relaxing anyway. So this is one of my favorites. And another instrument that I like when I want to relax is my Native American flute here. Now, this particular one was made by Blue Bear Flutes. You can see their logo there, but there's a number of flutes like this out on the market. This is a 5-hole flute, and I really like it. There are also 6-hole flutes, and there's a couple different tunings that are used. But most all of them are tuned in some form of a minor pentatonic. This one is in an A minor pentatonic. And the nice thing about that is, just like the lyre or the tongue drum, that means there's no wrong notes. And with an instrument like this, you don't need like a complex embouchure, like something like the didgeridoo back there, that takes a while to master and to learn, and there's a lot of technique to it. You literally just blow through this thing. So it lends itself really well to just kind of grabbing it and doing something like this. Or whatever, just it's very simple to just go up and down the scale just because of the way it's laid out. And it's kind of hard to be stressed out when you're hearing that sound. I mean, it is a pretty relaxing sound in itself. So, the Native American flute. Next up is my djembe here, and this is an African percussion instrument, and this particular one is one of the ones that's made of like plastic, and there's various fiberglass ones and plastic ones that are fairly inexpensive, and then there's some hand carved wood ones that can get very expensive. But the nice thing about the djembe is it's just such a simple percussion instrument. Just depending on where you hit it, you get a different tone. There's basically 3 tones on the head of the drum. And the nice thing about a djembe is you can just kind of sit back, put it here between your legs, and just kind of fall into it. Don't think too much about it. Just kind of hit it. And that's what I'm talking about. Just sometimes you just need to smack something and relax. So the djembe is a great, great relaxation instrument, in my opinion. And finally, we have my personal favorite, the modular synthesizer. So there's just something about a modular synthesizer, to me anyway, that the fact that you have to patch all these cables to make it make sound, and that it's not really necessarily, it takes you out of the constraints of playing like an A minor chord or doing a C to D to G progression or something like that. It's just all about making sound. And there's something about that for me is just very liberating and like stress-free, that there isn't really any rules to this. I mean, any cable can be patched in anywhere else, and not guaranteed that you're going to get sound, but there's a good chance that you're going to get something. And if you try something and you don't like it, you go, oh, no, never mind, try something else. And so that's kind of the beauty of it for me, is just that it's like, it's an experimentation platform. And every time that I sit down and I grab some cables and I start patching something up with this, it's like the world just kind of melts away. There's just something about it. Now, if you don't already have one of these, or if you're not already into, synthesizers and stuff, it would probably be a pretty big investment just for the purpose of stress relief. But there are a handful of like inexpensive semi-modular synthesizers out there that'll give you the same kind of thing, where you can make all the patches, but they aren't quite so grandiose and interchangeable and stuff. But even something like that, if that's something that you're interested in, would be a way to get into that. But this one for me, if you've got a modular, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a great way to decompress. So there you have it. That is 5 instruments that I think are great for stress relief. Everybody kind of, relieves stress differently, but that's what I use. So if you like this kind of content, let me know. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there is a playlist linked in the description of all of my list style videos. And like I said, leave me a comment, let me know if you've got other ideas, or if there's something else you'd like me to do, go ahead and put that in the comments. If you like the stuff I do on this channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.